in only 15 ever printed, a giant version of my famous So Long Egon Ghostbusters tribute to Harold Ramis.
You may have seen it on.
You may have seen it
at the
all
top of
over
Reddit.
the interwebs. There should be a pen in there too.
Be very careful.
Being very careful with it.
There
yes.
was only so many.
Very,
Move
very
all
careful
the
with
video
it.
James.
And for added value, it's signed by Dan Aykroyd. What?
Oh, okay. Yeah, here. We'll put it on. We'll hold it on top.
Okay.
Okay, I just don't want
Very
to
carefully. So there's only 15 of these posters in existence because I decided not to actually sell them and to donate them to places
You can't.
like Desert Bus.
Well, anyway,
So
look.
let's drive a camper now.
There's the signature. Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah, thank you.
that with me.
luckily, almost immediately after this, after I drew this, Dan Aykroyd came to Victoria. Yeah.
It's also signed by Ash. Yes.
Yes.
It is
Dan
down
Aykroyd
there.
came to Victoria because he was doing a promotional thing for his vodka. And so we went to the liquor store and bought a ridiculously expensive bottle of vodka. And then I got 5 of those signed.
It's not bad vodka,
It's
though.
shaped like a skull.
It's shaped like a skull.
Crystal
Crystal
Did
skull
you see the
vodka.
picture
Vodka.
of the
Vodka. Except your shame.
Did you see the picture of the
That feels good.
forensic
I
reconstructionist
did. That
who
was fantastic.
made the face out of the crystal skull?
Yeah.
Skull. That was pretty funny.
But when we do that auction, I actually have a special guest in the room because there's a little bit of a story behind that drawing. So the person sitting behind me, yes, there he is, is my friend Jeff, who is actually my roommate at some point, and he is by far and beyond the biggest Ghostbusters fan that I know. Possibly in existence, I'm not sure. Shame.
That is an oddly specific, weirdly specific shame ticket.
So when I found out that Harold Ramis had passed, when I woke up that morning, it was on Twitter, and it must have been minutes afterwards. My first thought was, "Oh no, Jeff!"
It was a really bad day.
It was a really bad day.
That was hard.
Jeff, come up here.
Okay.
Hang out. And I was like, "Oh no, Jeff! Like, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna be sad?" And sure enough,
I was
like,
very sad.
yeah, sure enough, 20 minutes later, Jeff texted me and was like, "Harold Ramis died," and I'm like, "I know, I saw, I didn't know what to say, so I hadn't texted him yet," and I'm like, but. In those 15 minutes, the first thing that jumped into my head, and I don't know if this happens with a lot of other writers or writer people. I know there's a few of you in the room. Writer people.
Auteurs, thank you.
Artists.
But because the first thing that I was introduced to with Harold Ramis was obviously Ghostbusters, so whenever I saw him in a movie, I'm like, Egon! He wasn't Harold Ramis, he was just Egon. But the first thing that popped into my head was what would happen if Egon had died in the Ghostbusters universe. And it was a very, snarky, finally, I can figure out what's happening inside the machine, firsthand. Yeah. Very scientific, not even realizing that, his earthly body's gone.
Yeah.
And all the rest of them are just in shock. And so I had this idea of him just being like, no, put me in the trap, it's cool, I really want to see what's happening in there.
Oh,
and
sorry, there's some old Chivos firing.
Diabetic pig, fantastic. Yeah, so I had that pop into my head, but I realized, in that same moment that might be in poor taste. So I drew this really cruddy stick figure drawing of it, and I sent it to Jeff to be like, if I drew this, would people get mad at me? And he's like, no, I think that's okay.
I was reasonably sure that was all right, that the Ghostbusters community would be okay with that.
A lot of them weren't, though.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them
Did you
weren't
get
for
a-
exactly that reason.
Huh.
I had a lot of people first of all, how dare you? Second of all, what gives you the right?
Oh my god.
I love
but it
that.
was like, why would they trap him? Why would they do that? They would never do that.
I
to
love that as a
Egon.
lead-in. First of all,
How dare you? Second of all, what gives you the right?
And thirdly, I repeat again,
How dare you? Yeah, so if it hadn't been for Jeff, I would have never drawn it.
So all that blame can be just thrown my way.
Yeah, exactly.
The Ghostbusters community can be mad at me for giving you the okay on that. Just like, yeah, go ahead, do that.
Anyway, I drew that. I'm just like, I kind of want to put it up as a tribute on my comic, which I'll mention later. instead of a regular comic because, this is a sad day. It was a really sad day. And we had no idea that it was going to go viral.
That went huge.
It went
immediately.
really huge, really fast. So
within one day.
I should also mention that I was watching Ghostbusters as I drew it, and I also managed to flail a thing of water onto my computer while I was drawing it. And so mid-draw, I had to run over to the computer shop, and the guy who fixed my computer, or took my laptop in, I told him what I was doing. He's just like, that's probably going to be a big thing. And I'm just like, no, it's just for my comic. It's nothing.
Someone in the chat was asking what was Dan Aykroyd's reaction when he saw it.
He paused.
Yeah.
He looked at it, but he didn't look up to be like, who would do this, anything like that. But he's a very busy guy, and I think
he was probably signing a million things.
He signs a million things, and he also signs a million weird things.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
He's
he's
very
signed.
chill
Yeah, he's
at all
really
his,
chill.
You got a
at
picture
all
with
his
him,
signings.
right?
There's actually pictures up on the auction page, or the prizes page of him signing them, so it's real. And Jeff was there, so he can vouch for me.
I saw the whole thing.
I saw the whole thing. So in 7 minutes, we're gonna live auction that sucker.